My name is Carlton Cartwright. I'm the Executive Director for Veterans Memorial and Multicultural Histories Incorporated. Today is March the 15th, 2023. It is Wednesday, and we are at Riviera Beach Preparatory Achievement Academy. I've got 6 of my students with me today. Okay, there's Felix and Savannah, and then there's Keegan and Andre, it's Calviana, and Ronisha. And sir, what is your name?
Edwin Ferguson.
Yes, sir. And Edwin, I've known you for like, what, about almost 10 years?
Thereabouts,
Maybe?
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I've known you to be an attorney, but I really don't know that much about your background.
Mm-hmm.
What is your background? Where were you born?
Tallahassee, Florida.
Uh-huh, okay. And how long have you lived here in Palm Beach County?
Most of my life. We moved down here when I was 4.
Uh-huh. Oh, wow. So you've been here all your life. How old are you now?
Old enough.
That a secret? Okay, I'll leave that alone.
Yes, 46. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You weren't in the military?
No, I was not.
No, okay. So, where did you go to school for law?
Barry University, the law school's in Orlando.
Okay, and was that for your bachelor's and master's?
No.
You have your doctorate, don't you?
No, law school, you get a Juris Doctor. I went to undergrad at Georgia Tech, and I finished at Central Florida, which is also in Orlando.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and what motivated you to become an attorney?
Well, I was teaching high school for a couple of years. I taught at Suncoast, and I taught at Palm Beach Lakes, and the pay wasn't so great, and I felt like at the time, I was in my 20s, I'll come back to teaching when I'm older, like this age. So I think that's kind of funny. I'm a school board member now, but I wanted to go into a field that I thought could give me more options in that from that standpoint. I enjoyed teaching, but at that time I wanted to pursue a profession that potentially could provide a higher salary.
So
And I didn't want to go back to medical school. I thought I would be old again. It's amazing what old is in your early 20s versus even now. To go into medical school, I would have had to go back to college, get a science major. By the time I did the calculations, I would have been 25, 26 going into medical school, and I thought that was old. So again, it's kind of laugh out loud at this point, but this is the mindset of a early 20-year-old, you know.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's not bad. So you were motivated once upon a time to be an educator.
I was actually a teacher. I taught AP Chemistry at Suncoast, and I taught Algebra 1 at Palm Beach Lakes in what was then called the ESOL program. I think you all call it the ESL or something like that.
ESOL.
It was
That's
ESOL
right.
back then, but they don't call it that anymore. It's a slight change. But
Right.
anyway, same thing.
How do you feel in your new role as a school board member?
I feel fine. I mean, it's about what I expected it to be, and definitely from the standpoint of what I expected myself. I'm doing just what I expected to do from day one. So it's off to a really good start, and I expect it to continue as such.
Okay, so
For trauma, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, do you know anyone or are you reliving any traumatic events, domestic violence, drive-by shootings?
If you ask me do I know persons who are suffering or have suffered from PTSD, I would say so. I think a fair number of people are. They handle it in different ways, and I can't give you specifics as to what caused the trauma, but yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I know persons who are suffering from it and have suffered.
Excellent.
For race-based stress, what is it like to be a black person in a world where people judge you?
Race-based stress,
Yes.
not a term that I've used before, but I mean, it's like what you probably imagine. I suspect most of you are black, and I don't know how, you very well could be too. As far as that goes, I don't know. I can't answer for other people. I wouldn't try to either. That's not my wheelhouse. I laugh actually with people who try to speak for the group in that regard. I think everybody has their own voice, and I try to encourage everybody to use their voice as far as that goes. But as far as me, I have, I think, what you would call an internal locus of control. So I tend to work around, overcome, get by challenges. And so I've always thought of being black as a positive. I've never felt that my skin should be lighter, nose should be smaller, anything like that. Everything about me I think is pretty good. I think most people should want to look like me. So I have never, that's probably because of my parents, I've never had that desire to be anything other than what I am. Talk the way I talk, walk the way I walk, whatever the case may be. But I've heard through through news media and speaking to other people that they've struggled with that in some regard. And I feel sympathize with them. I cannot tell you that I empathize, because I've never thought that what I am is something less than what I could or should be. So I'm hoping that other, particularly black students, can find that inner locus of control as well, to see that they are perfect in the current capacity, that you don't need to conform and be like anybody else. Just be you. Whatever you is, be that. Some people are gonna enjoy it. Some people are gonna get down with that. Some people won't. But my whole point has always been, so what? There's somebody out there who is gonna get down with it. So if you always have that kind of self-confidence, you can navigate through this life. And every successful person that I have had the experience to either meet or read about, they've had to a large degree that same independent spirit, self-confidence, if you will. And so that's why I'm here, to hopefully encourage you all, to encourage yourself, and encourage people around you. But I appreciate that question.
For black on black crime, how do you feel about police officers shooting blacks when they don't have any weapons?
Oh, that's not good. Clearly that's not good. I don't like anybody being shot, to be honest with you. But yeah, from a governmental standpoint, there is some things, some challenges historically that we've had to deal with, particularly as not just minorities, but even people on the lower economic end, because you tend to see those type of things happen to poor people, generally speaking. And you also tend to see it happen to minorities, generally in regard to a Caucasian or a white officer. But as we know from what happened in Tennessee, there are other instances as well, where it's actually, if you will, black on black or blue on black crime, if you will. Because I think the person that are perpetuating these crimes as law enforcement, they see themselves more as part of that fraternal order, if you will. So they're in the blue and you are not. And so, it's a case-by-case basis, but yeah, generally speaking, it's been the result of not really appreciating that person that's sitting across from you, the person that you're pulling over, that person that you're coming in contact to on the sidewalk, on the roadway. And so we do need to have a greater deal of understanding, which leads me back to your first question, at least I think it was your first question, sis, or second one. When we see ourselves as more, a lot of these things will be less apt to happen, because if you just draw a line in the sand and say, no, I'm not gonna run, I'm gonna be my full and natural self. Some of those officers who are engaging in those practices, they will stop, they'll conform, because now they realize, oh, it's a new day. What we used to do before, we can't do anymore. Because I promise you that those type of interactions don't happen in certain areas, because it's understood that it will not be allowed to happen in these areas. We should insist on that same standard in our areas. Follow what I'm saying?
Future of Florida State education. How do you feel about the future of Florida State education?
Well, we're in a challenging space right now. I think education is very politicized, hyper-politicized even. In that regard, it's more important to get a headline, get a clap, get a like on whatever your social media of choice, versus really thinking, having foresight and saying, okay, now if I do this, if I change this law, is it really going to help the children here short term? And how is it going to affect our society, our state long term? Do I really want to do that? For example, we have a House Bill 1 that most likely will be passed. Ultimately, it's going to likely result in a lot of the monies that most school districts currently getting siphoned off to people who previously had no expectation even to get the money. And that's going to result in fewer resources for those of our students who are attending in public schools. And so, unless the ultimate goal is just to totally eradicate public schools, the question would be, why would we put forward this law? See the first few things I said about getting applause, those type of things. So I feel like there's some short-sightedness to that. So we're in a challenging space in regard to public education right now.
For economy in the black community, how do you feel about the effects of the economy?
Well, this is an economy that you can get whatever you want if you know how to get it and who to associate yourselves with. That's an oversimplification of things, but I think that still is a true state. I think that we if you're asking me from the black standpoint, we have to insist on being better engaged. I don't think as a people we have been historically, and it's to our detriment. You generally see we have the smallest and fewest amount of assets. We generally are the least educated. We generally have the least amount. And I think we just have to insist on changing that, because I would say this and stop talking on this question. You see persons from other countries who in their own countries had less than many of us have here in a short time go from way down here to much higher than those of us who've been living here for 20 and 30 and 40 years. So you got to ask yourself, why is that? And I think ultimately it's about a mindset, like a can-do attitude. You say, hey, I'm not going to stay where I am. I'm going to push to a higher mark, and I don't care what I have to do legitimately to get there. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to, if I can borrow from a military adage, I'm going to take that hill. You know, I'm going to accomplish these goals. We have to have that indomitable spirit throughout the community, and if we do, we'll see gains probably higher than many other people sustain. But we have to first resolve ourselves to doing what is required to get to that goal.
For racial profiling, how do you feel about the officers who target individuals for suspicion based on race or national origin?
Yeah, that's as a criminal lawyer, legally you're not allowed to do that, generally speaking. So if they're truly doing what you asked or suggested they're doing, I feel sad for them because they have a lack of understanding. And I think it's important that we educate those persons so that they understand that the law does not allow you to do those things and that you should stop doing those immediately, because it only creates greater contention and friction amongst the different aspects of our community. And my desire would be that we would have a much more enlightened community, a much more humble, spirited community. And if you have officers doing those type of things, you just serve to antagonize the situation.
What is your opinion on CRT?
It's a theory. It's not factual. So anybody who's relying on it as if it's the Bible, or anybody who hates it as if it's a law, it's not. It's just somebody's theory. I mean, persons are free to research, review history, and come to whatever conclusions they want as well.
I want to be a lawyer, right?
Okay.
A criminal lawyer.
Why?
How long? Why?
Why did you choose criminal law as opposed to something else?
Because it's fun. It's interesting to me.
Okay.
I watch a lot of First 48 and a lot of crime stuff. So
Yeah.
I feel like if I get into that job, then I can help a lot of people.
Okay.
But the question is, how long does that take? Like, how
Sure.
long did it take for you?
So undergrad, most people complete undergrad in 4 years. Some people do it in less, some people do it in a little bit more. Law school generally is going to be 3 years for most people at most schools. So basically, you all could be lawyers by the time you're 25, assuming you pass the bar as soon as possible. So I'm assuming that's within 10 years for all of y'all. So it could be here, sooner than you think. Now, if you truly are committed to becoming an attorney, I would encourage you to read. I don't know. I don't know if you read or not. I'm letting you know. Persons who want to get into law definitely need to focus themselves on reading and writing, because in spite of what most people think, this is not what most of law is. It ain't a whole lot of talking. Time is precious, so you got to be able to communicate in written form. Even if you're doing criminal law, filing a motion to suppress, a motion to dismiss, a motion, whatever the case may be, you got to be able to put pen to paper, or keystrokes, if you will. So I think reading helps increase a person's ability to write. By seeing how properly written things are constructed, then you know what it looks like too. You know how to say it. And I would encourage you to read many different things. I mean, fiction, nonfiction, history, whatever. All of those type of things will help you when you're in the space of being an attorney. Because I could be speaking to you, because I feel like I'm being interrogated right now. I feel like I'm in a police station with all these lights around me. I plead the fifth. I'm not saying anything. But all jokes aside, if I'm having a discussion with you, say you hit my dog, and so now I'm going to sue you for $5 million, and you're trying to say this or that, just all those different conversations you're having by way of reading in the books, in my experience, it allows me to be quick. Like in a moment when I'm talking to you, I can go off script, bring it back. I found that it helps. So I do esteem a lot of what I'm able to do on my ability and my willingness to read and talk to different people in different spaces and whatever the case may be. Believe in yourself. I mean, I know y'all are at Riviera Beach Prep, and that's what I was saying to the brother before. I heard what the so-called reputation of the school was, and it was bogus. It was by people who were saying it for their own political agendas. But when I came here and saw it for myself, like, this is great. You know what I mean? Because I understand everybody's path is not straight or conventional. Like, y'all all ended up here by choice or for whatever reason, but every person I've met here is trying to better themselves. I mean, I've gone to other so-called great schools. My alma mater, Suncoast. Some of the people might be there because their mom or their daddy told them to be there. They don't even have a real vision for themselves. You know what I mean? Like my mom told me I need to go here to Harvard or UF, I guess I'll go there, but I really don't want to do that. Like, you're here at Riviera Beach Prep and you say, I have a vision for myself to be an attorney. That's awesome. You're at whatever age you are. I know you're under 19, 18, 19, it's safe to say. And you already have that vision for yourself. I say go for it. Go for it wholeheartedly. All of you should understand how to spend your money. So read books on financial literacy and things of that nature. Everybody can learn how to be a nicer person. So interpersonal skills are everything too. So I have a 7 and a 5-year-old. Watching them has helped me deal with adults because I've realized a lot of adults act like children. What I want right now and all those type of things. But the wise person understands that sometimes you have to wait a little time. You got to wait a season or two to get what you want. But if you have that patience, you can truly get anything that you want. You follow what I'm saying? So that's something I would encourage y'all to meditate on as well. You follow me? They say Rome is not built in a day. That's been my experience, that it is not. Generally, it's not destroyed in a day either. But my point is just be patient. Know what it is that you all want and surround yourselves with people that are focused on your team, if you will, helping you get to those goals. And all you got to do is just verbalize it. And you'll find some people say, you know what, I'll rock with you. What are you trying to get done? Bet. Go talk to Mr. Cartwright. Or you, go talk to Malcolm Cunningham. He's an attorney here in town. Talk to whomever. You follow what I'm saying? You build your network of people, and in a short time, you'll be where you need to be. You follow what I'm saying? And just let people know that, yeah, I do go to Riviera Beach Prep. Say it with your chest stuck out. I'm proud that I go to Riviera Beach Prep. You don't know? You should probably try to get over here because we're really working on some really good things here. But y'all got to have that internal belief. You follow what I'm saying? Don't expect anybody else to give it to you. Come to the party with it and surround yourselves with people that help you bring it out of yourself too. Y'all follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So we good.
That's my preaching. That's my sermon for the week.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.